Good Tuesday afternoon. My name is Jerry Miller. Welcome to the I Love CVille show. It's great to be with you. We are live in Charlottesville. We're live at the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille network. It's pretty outside. We're feeling good here in our I Love CVille studios on Market Street. We got a great show lined up for you. Joe Thomas, he is a fabulous, fabulous broadcaster, program director at WCHV with Monticello Media, a morning show host, just a go-to resource. I've been following Joe closely on social media, as I always do, and his mother is going through some tough times health-wise, and we're going to catch up with Joe, see how his mom's doing. I'm curious of the storylines Joe Thomas is following as a news guy, as someone who follows the news cycle very closely. Just a good guy to catch up with and check to see what's going on. Yolonda Jones at 1 o'clock, about 1:05. Yolonda Jones is an entrepreneur. She's a pillar in our community. She's a mom. She's a wife. She's an influencer. She's a difference maker, small business owner. I'd like to spotlight Yolonda's positives that she's bringing to this community. Also, the trials and tribulations for all of us as small business owners. It's the uncertainty of these COVID-19 times that make things a little difficult, I think. It would be a bit easier for all of us as a dad, as parents, as a husband, as a wife, as a small business owner, as a boss, as just someone who cares about the community. It would be a lot easier if we saw some light at the end of the tunnel or understood when things would return back to normal. It's that uncertainty that's making things a little tough for us. I don't know if you follow the news, and Judah, if you could, turn the television off over at my desk, but Barack Obama just endorsed Joe Biden. I found that relatively interesting. We're going to talk news cycle with Joe Thomas, how the budget's going to be impacted by this, Charlottesville budget, Albemarle County budget, what things we should follow. We're going to talk just things that are important to all of us on this program. We're brought to you by a lot of clients, two of our favorites, Interstate Pest and Service Companies and Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine. We are an advertising agency, and we're very lucky to work with a lot of great small business owners here at V&V Brands and at I Love CVille. Judah Wickhauer is our director. Judah, I'm going to get Joe on the line here, giving you a heads up. If you guys would like to relay any perspective or comments to our guests, just put it in the comments section, and I will pass it along to them. The I Love CVille show is dynamic. It's approachable. You can leave comments in the comment section of any of the 12 Facebook pages that you're watching this program on. Judah, I'm grateful for you. Thank you for being a part of this show. Thank you for helping and making things run as smoothly as they can. Judah Wickhauer does not get enough credit on the program. Yolonda is someone that I'm excited to introduce you to. And why I'm excited to introduce you to Yolonda Jones at about 1:05 is she's making a positive impact here in Charlottesville. We'll go to Joe Thomas in 10 seconds. And Joe, if you can activate your camera for us, that way everyone can see your handsome mug, my friend. Judah, I'm getting Joe Thomas on the line now. Joe Thomas, amigo, how are you?
Greetings from the hotbed of coronavirus. It is going as well as can be expected. Hang on a second.
We are more than 6 feet away from each other. Right? Are you, my friend, in Fry Springs right now? Where are you now?
I am in Old Bridge, New Jersey, which is, as the crow flies, about 5-6 miles west of Staten Island, where my daughter... paging Dr. Freud, where my sister and my mother live. And we're here because my mom came down with COVID-19, and that brought forth a congenital heart failure that was probably going to happen anyway, but this brought it to the surface.
How is she doing?
Well, as well as can be expected. What is the expression? Spirit from body soon unwind until at the end you're only spirit. Her mind is sharp as any 9-year-old can be. Her body is what's failing her. They can't get her heart rate under 140 beats per minute. So we signed her into hospice on Friday, and so she's being kept comfortable as long as she can hold out for the nurses. The doctors are incredible. Shout out to Hackensack Meridian Health, not trying to slag Centera or UVA Health, but just they've been awesome. They've been put in a bad spot. I actually kind of broke the rules. Don't tell anyone.
Yes,
This is
just
just
between
between you
us.
and me, Jared. Nobody's watching, right? Uh, Hospice told me that New Jersey had enacted new regulations that said no visitors at all ever. And I'm like, I'm sorry,
You're
if
going to be
my
there.
mom's dying,
Right.
it's not happening. So I called the desk nurse and I said, "Hi, I drove up here. Oh yeah, come on in. We'll get you a gown." Never asked me if I had gotten permission from anyone to see her, so they put me in a gown and face mask and all the PPE that we're learning about. And I mean, they could have been nicer. I don't know. I hope they don't get in trouble for it. But I spent about an hour and a half with her. I either wore her out or made her silly.
Joe Thomas, just a fabulous guy, one of the good guys in the business, live on the Dominion Custom Homes hotline here on the I Love CVille show. He's live in the Commonwealth. Joe, if I can ask you here, do you have any idea or guess how your mom may have gotten COVID-19?
We don't know. She has two home health folks that come in. For the most part, they really just took her shopping and things like that. She really had no underlying health concerns that we were aware of. One of them confessed afterwards, well, she would sleep a lot, which the fatigue is sort of a sign of the congestive heart failure. But could have been anywhere, but she doesn't go out a lot. I mean, she was one of those people that even when I was a kid, her Mother's Day gift was leave me alone. That was so she wasn't like wandering the shopping malls or just going down for a cup of coffee just for giggles. She really was a homebody. So who knows where? It's a matter of, I think that it's as we go through this story of COVID-19, it's not going to be who gets it. It's that we're all going to get it. How do we deal with it? And what kind of condition are we in to deal with it? That's why these senior livers, we see what is almost 50 cases in Fluvanna County over the weekend flaring up. And these senior living communities are all the things. You've got folks who are at risk medically. You've got a communal situation. And for the most part, even they've been on lockdown for a month now. You haven't been able to go and see anything.
Well, I'm going to throw this question to you, my friend, and I'm grateful for your joining us. Neil Williamson's watching. He says hello. You have a couple of Board of Supervisors watching and one
Neil.
City Councilor watching right now. It really, you are great people. When it hits home, like right now, this is how like the flip book of COVID-19 went for me, Joe. At first, I was one of those people that was like, we're overreacting. It's the flu. And then I was like, dude, this is real. And then I started seeing friends like you impacted by this. It starts to really hit closer to home when faces are associated with it, as opposed to a headline in the newspaper, Joe Thomas.
Well, and part of it is we have to be careful enough not to let that drag us into hysteria either. I mean, this is we got some of the best doctors on the planet in the history of the world, and they're all working on this. One of the things that I'm interested about is right now, over the last week or so, a narrative has found two Chinese researchers, the Italian researcher that first identified COVID-19 in Italy, and a bunch of American researchers saying, hold it, we might be wrong about this being a respiratory infection. This might actually be more like malaria, which is why the hydroxychloroquine works on it. They're identifying the possibility that this COVID-19 virus actually kicks the red blood or kicks the iron out of your red blood cells. And that's why you're suffocating, because your red blood cells can't carry any more oxygen because they're not set up for it anymore. The iron is what makes that possible.
Do you think,
so
let's throw this local. Have you been, your thoughts, and you always shoot straight with us, your thoughts on how the municipalities, let's just say the city of Charlottesville and Albemarle County, and your thoughts, how do you think they've handled this?
Well, it's a tough spot, and you said one of the city councilors is watching. I got a very nice email from a former city councilor yesterday. So if Bob Fenwick's watching, hey Bob. But and I don't know which one of the city councilors is currently watching, although I'll take an educated guess. That you can overreact and frighten people, and you can be straight with them and hope they understand. So, like the issues with the basketball courts and some of the things that have had to happen in city government, I think we're all fair. I think that just saying, listen, this is a virus, it's going to suffocate you, should be enough to teach us all stay apart from each other. I think the 10-person limit was kind of dancing around the edges. We should have been leveled with from the get go. This is going to kill people. It's going to suffocate you. It's going to act like pneumonia. This doesn't need to be given melodrama by the media. Stay away from each other until we can figure out what makes it contagious without you knowing it. And that is really the Stephen King frightening part of this, is you walking around, you think you're fine, and you're spreading it. That's why we started the Say It, Don't Spray It campaign on my show, encouraging everyone to get one of these, put it on. You don't need a hospital mask. Now, here in New Jersey, where I am, you can't go anywhere without one of these. If you want to go to Kroger, well, there's no Kroger up here, but if you want to go to Trader Joe's, they won't let you in if you're not wearing something to cover your nose and mouth, because it's just too crowded here for the hope that maybe you'd stay away from each other. But everything's marked on the floor. Stay 6 feet. Be careful. We should be, just leveled with as citizens and saying this is what's going to happen. You can't be playing pickup basketball. You can't be, sitting there with 12 guys in the park. And the 10-person number, I think, was overblown too. I understand they don't want to tell us you can't hang out with your friends, but just level with us and say, this is real scary. We don't need the police arresting people for it. We should be able to do it ourselves. Now we figured it out. Now let's handle it. Let's all get face masks. I'd be all for City of Charlottesville face masks. I don't care. I love CVille, Jerry Miller face masks. Do you see Jerry Miller's face right here? Maybe a line of boxer shorts. I don't know. But anyway, I digress. But that's what I think. And you know me, I don't wring hands when I'm critical of city government. I think everyone was sort of gobsmacked by this. I think there have been pre-existing conditions with the relationship between the city manager and the city council. And what I find interesting about this is this goes back 3 city managers and uncounted city councilors. I mean, I remember Holly Edwards telling me how frustrated she would get with the city staff, sort of treating the city councilors like a necessary inconvenience. So this isn't Karen Richardson or Nakia Walker or Heather Hill. I mean, this is institutionalized for as long as Gary O'Connell was city manager and then Y.CJones, and all good people. But at some point, we need to figure out how to execute the city of Charlottesville government. I would prefer an elected representative, but then you look at Richmond. LeVar Stoney is an elected mayor, but they still have a city manager too. I mean, how does that count? I mean, pick one, do it. But I'd also like to see representative districts in the city. Now I'm picking on Shores. I think the city has done a commendable job. I think Chief Baxter and the fire department, Chief Eggleston, and really, to the folks at Western Albemarle Rescue Squad, Charlottesville Albemarle Rescue Squad, these guys and gals in volunteer fashion are heading out and doing, just amazing stuff to help people who don't know. I mean, we're seeing the cases spike, whether it be like the 45 on in Savannah County, plus I think 10, 12 staffers from the senior living facility. I mean, it's real, but the folks who have to go out and deal with the ambulance driver, the ambulance technician, they're here.
Joe Thomas, our guest, guys. This guy's big time people in Charlottesville and Central Virginia. My former boss, I'm going to say straight up the best broadcaster in Central Virginia, and I'm going to catch some heat for that because I see Marty Hutloff watching this program. Marty Hutloff, I love you too, baby. I'm going to put Joe at 1A, Marty. You at 1B.
Hey, Marty, I talk sports. I won't talk sports, Marty. And you and Jerry don't, Jerry's trying to be a
I'm
hybrid here, Marty. We gotta tell Jerry pick
I
one,
am
right?
trying to be a hybrid. He knows me really well. Marty Hutloff at NBC 29, also a former boss of mine as well. Welcome, Miriam Hernandez, the owner of El Carbone, to the program, and Bashir from Bashir's Restaurant in the downtown mall, watching as well.
Oh,
What did you
love them
make
both.
of that Nolan Stout story in the Daily Progress with Richardson squabbling with Mayor Walker, squabbling with Heather Hill, squabbling with staff? Do we just strictly chalk this up to it's a stressful situation, and because of that maybe some people lost their cool? And the reason I'm asking this, okay, Richardson is still new to the job, but the reason I'm asking this is he had beef with the fire department. He's now got beef with some members on council.
Yep.
And the scuttlebutt I'm hearing from folks that work inside City Hall is he's difficult to work with. I don't want to jump to conclusions and jump on a train that's concerned, because he's been so short on the job and he deserves some more runway. But that's a lot of snowball happening in a short time, Joe.
I think that some of this is that being the executive of a government is difficult enough. And I think that's why people like it and they feel more comfortable knowing that they had some say in it. Yes, the city councilors that we voted for chose him, hired him, and brought him in. But I think that when you have an elected executive, whether it be a governor, a president, a mayor, that role takes on an important position because the citizens feel like, okay, this is the person we chose. And I mean, look at what's happening, 10 miles from me in New York, in between Andrew Cuomo and Bill de Blasio now. It isn't even political because they're both leaders in the Democratic Party of New York. They're squabbling over who's got authority to open schools and who has authority to close this, that, or the other thing. So at the end of the day, we need to get back to the basics. What is the role of government? What's the old expression? You had a good job. No, and is it arrest people for being out? I know that the city government was frustrated with the governor for not just ordering a lockdown, saying if you're on the street, you're getting arrested, which is a response. I don't think it would have met a lot of great action, but when you close the schools, when you close the businesses, at what point do you say, okay, that's it? If we see you on the street, we're arresting you. Um, you know, I get it. It makes it easier to manage the situation. But I think that it's our job, you, me, the people in the media, to give the right answers, the positive answers, to talk about El Carbone or the Bashirs who are offering takeout, who are still saying to their employees, come in, we'll work, we'll do things, we'll serve as many customers as we can. Repair shops, construction sites. I mean, there are businesses in Charlottesville, Jerry, that are busier than they've ever been before. So, I mean, it's not all one way or another. It's just we've got to reset. I was more frustrated, quite honestly, because the city manager, city council stuff goes back, as you mentioned, even with the fire department and everything else. Maybe there's an attitude amongst the councilors like, hey, we hired, what are you doing? I don't know. That could be the dynamic. I've seen it before, where the city councilors expected the city manager just to be their voice. Sorry, that's not why you hire a city manager. You hire a city manager to do the job as best they can. So I can see some empathy for his role. What really upset me is this narrative that is Charlottesville. It seems like all we have is a hammer, so everything we see is racist. This narrative that COVID-19 is racist or exposes inherent racism again. Here we go again. It's 2017 all over again. I watched the Dr. Bond's teletown hall on Friday. My ears were steaming. I said, the problem isn't unreal, what she was saying, but it's not an inherent white supremacy. It's an inherent UVA supremacy. We are Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, after the steel mill. And that's what we're dealing with right now. It's temporary. And we just we're holding on as long as we can. But for everyone over the last 12 years that has laughed me when I said, what would happen to Charlottesville's economy if UVA went away and everyone said, oh, UVA is not good. This is
Yes.
a look at it. This is a look at life without UVA.
We have a
So we need better economic opportunity for all the people, and that's why, to finish up, that's why Dr. Bond sees the poor and in many cases overly African American communities working at entry level and service jobs that are easily, that not so easily replaced. So therefore, they're out on the front lines. That was the point I was trying to make: was that if we had more vibrant economy, more kind of manufacturing jobs and things like that, we wouldn't have seen the numbers kind of spike out of skew with population.
well said. So you're getting a lot of props on this. So Ray Cadell, who's watching the program, he says Joe Thomas is exactly right. This is really bad time for the city manager and the city council not to be on the same page. We deserve better. You would think everyone would have learned after August 12th. We also have John Kelly, the PR strategist, watching the program. James Watson, hello. Now 2 city councilors watching the program and a city attorney watching the show. Frank Russo, restaurateur, welcome to the program. I'll throw this to you, Joe. You said it better than I ever could, and I've talked about this a lot on the show. What happens to Charlottesville, Virginia, if the UVA student population is not in Charlottesville, Virginia on grounds? This community, this town, then turns into every Tom, Dick, and Harry town in America. The thing that separates us from...
We're
Right.
Danville.
The thing that separates us from a Danville, the thing that separates us from, pick any town out there that's 50,000 people or less, is the University of Virginia. And dude, there was some scuttlebutt on social, and it's just scuttlebutt. One of the things I'm watching really closely is whether or not the University of Virginia students return to grounds at the end of August. If they return for the fall semester, that is humongous. If they don't return for the fall semester, that is going to be incredibly impactful for small businesses, the corner anywhere in Charlottesville here. What other thresholds or benchmarks are you watching here, Joe?
Well, I think August is going to be a huge benchmark, but I think UVA students will be back. Now, the bigger question is how many of them come back? Do we see a 100% return to grounds, or do some of the students say, wow, this online stuff really worked? Does UVA continue to offer online? Remember, that was the whole Teresa Sullivan dust-up that turned into something else in the media narrative, but it was really over Helen Dragas asking Teresa Sullivan, hey, here we go back to a board member saying to an executive, hey, we've got a job for you. Start online classes. The professors didn't want it. She said, okay. She went with the professors, and the Board of Visitors said, I'm sorry, we hired you to start online classes like Stanford, like UMass, like Liberty. I mean, my gosh, we can't be falling behind Liberty University in Charlottesville. So the important thing is that this is an opportunity for us as economic development minded people to sit down and to say, what can we be? What can we do? Can we, and I'm not saying the textile industry is going to come back and the X family is going to open up the mills again. We're going to start, sending wool down the river. But what are we going to do? What is this? And I've pointed this out many times. State College, Pennsylvania, and Center County, Pennsylvania spend an awful lot of time setting up opportunities for students at Penn State when they graduate to stick around, start a business. You got an idea, little incubator hubs, all what both Fontaine Research Park and the North Research Park were ostensibly for was place incubators for these minds that were coming out of the E School or the McIntyre School that have got this great new mousetrap they want to build. Well, freaking build it here. Don't leave and then come back when you're 65 and say, boy, wasn't it fun when we went down to the corner. We need those kids staying here because that's the river of the future. The river of the future is the intellectual power that these kids that finish on grounds have. Let's keep at least a larger percentage of them here starting the amazing new businesses, and so that you don't read about, oh, this UVA grad is off in Florida doing such and such, or this UVA grad is in California doing the other thing. How about they do it in Charlottesville? And that way then they're hiring more people from Fry Spring or from Belmont. And then there's people working for them, building new battery technology, working on electric cars, working on the new wave of anything. thing. Technology is going to be the future. You should and probably will be leading it. I'd just like to see some of the alumni who are doing it.
We have had Joe Thomas on the line for 22 minutes, and I think for the entire 22 minutes, I've been nodding my head in agreement with everything this man has been saying. I mean, I think you're completely, I have not disagreed with a single thing you're saying here. I'm going to throw this to you, and we have Yolonda Jones following you on the show. She's an entrepreneur, a small business owner, a hairstylist. Her husband owns a barbershop in the community. Their family undoubtedly impacted by COVID-19. So we're going to spotlight what they're doing here on the program. I want to close with this. People count on your voice in this community. Final word, anywhere you want to go. The show is yours. Stuff that you're watching, storylines, trends. The show is yours, Joe.
Well, I'm just glad to do something other than watch.
Did you not like it?
It's got to make you feel better for your life. If you're watching Tiger King, call me Joe Traditional if you need to call me anything. But here's the thing that I want to see us, and we didn't have it coming out of August 12th. We didn't, that feeling of September 12th, 2001, when we said, okay, bad stuff happened. Now, in this case, it's a viral infection, but let's put our minds to it. We've now figured out, Anthony Fauci told us, part of the reason this was a breakthrough, nobody covered it. It was all about tweets and this other thing. The reason we don't know we have it is it foments here in the upper part of our throat. So it doesn't make you feel sick while it's spreading. Well, that's also its weakness. Let's come up with some sort of gargle or something that will kill it there before it gets out anywhere. And in the meantime, let's be creative. It's the new haberdashery. Men aren't wearing neckties anymore. So, men with this, plus you can kind of do the Fred from Scooby-Doo thing with the ascot look, because the women love Fred from Scooby-Doo. But all things, Jerry, I really appreciate what you do, because you really give a platform to a lot of folks. Yolanda needs to get back behind the chair. A lot of folks are saying, I can't even get a haircut. I get it. It's the 6 feet thing. I don't know how you do hair salons without 6 feet, but maybe this is the answer. You put your mask on, you do your thing, because there's businesses out there that can reopen, and I think we can reopen now because we're learning how to be good neighbors to each other. The same thing that after the riots of August 12th, I said, the only reason I wasn't pummeled by one of the kids down from New York in Black Lives Matter is because I had taken the time to get to know his president, Hawk Newsom. So when Hawk saw me, he said, hold, he's not a racist. I know him. The only way we fight the virus of racism, the virus of poverty, is by knowing each other, helping each other out, because when you know each other, and I don't mean just because we watch each other on Jerry Miller's I Love CVille show, or listen to Joe Thomas in the morning, we have to kind of all pull together, at, looking out for each other, which means say it, don't spray it, which means, making sure that the elderly folks are getting the care they need, and also supporting the medical breakthroughs that we can do, whether it be a gargle that helps kill real writing, just like the riots in Charlottesville that went on in there. And we push all that stuff aside, do it. And thank you for giving my wife something to watch online besides Randy Jackson of Zebra, who's been performing every afternoon at 4:30. You are the Charlottesville version of Randy Jackson.
I'll take that. You're getting so much props. You're going to love this. John.
Oh, one last thing.
Sure.
One last
He's
thing.
watching. He just gave you props.
Of John Kelly. Well, tell John that while I was visiting with my mother, we talked about him for like 10, 15 minutes. Because she remembered me telling her years ago that there was a guy who lives in Charlottesville that grew up same town she grew up in, Old Greenwich, Connecticut. So, Old Greenwich.
John Kelly says, Joe Thomas, it's great to hear from you. You're a tremendous resource for this community. Grace Richardson says, Joe, I miss you on the airwaves. I listen to you every morning. Thank you for being a part of Charlottesville. We got a phone. We got Sam Monk saying, Joe Thomas, I love your program. Thank you for bringing knowledge to the I Love CVille show. You got Tim Christie saying, Joe Thomas, your show is great. We miss you. Let's close on this before Yolanda's in. How's this impacting you? How much are you doing it every day? Are you doing the show every day?
Yeah, well, actually, we're on the air and don't tell anyone.
Nice.
Blacksburg. We have a sister station in the New River Valley that we just purchased. We were just rescuing her, kind of the way we rescued CVille 107.5 years ago. Big corporation, really nothing there for an esprit de corps, but they had no local conversation. So I've been doing my show on WRAD in the New River Valley. Not nearly as old or legendary, but certainly, long-time call letters down there in the Blacksburg area, as well as here in Charlottesville. So, we do what we have to do. We talk to the folks that are going to be on the front lines. Mark Warner is going to be on the show this week. Tim Scott from North Carolina is on the show coming up this week. We're going to talk about the Black community because it's a poverty issue, not a race issue. If we can get the poverty issue figured out, then we'll be able to figure out all the other issues that are facing our community. So to everyone, you're making me blush. I gotta hide my blushing face behind my face mask. God bless you, Jerry. You stay well.
Doing well.
Good in your world.
I'm so grateful for you. Awesome. Thoughts and prayers with you, your family, and your mom. Wish you guys the best, Joe.
God bless you. And if you want to, there's a picture of me and her on my Facebook page. Feel free to share it.
We will do that. And I'll tell Judah now. I'm going to put it up right now. Joe, thank you for coming on.
God bless you, Jerry, and everyone, Judah, everyone at I
God bless you as well.
I do.
Judah, if you go to Joe's Facebook page, there's a photo of him and his mom in the hospital. Joe Thomas was a boss. And Y.CJones, we're going to go to you in about 2 minutes here. We'll Skype you in about 2 minutes. Judah, let me know when that photo is on screen. Joe's mom's got COVID. I know Joe. Joe's a good guy. I've worked alongside him in radio and in TV. His son, Taylor, worked the board for me when I was doing my show on location. The Thomas family's A-plus people. And I have a feeling as we mature and as we progress in this COVID-19 ecosystem, we're gonna have more faces to this virus. And as we get more faces to the virus, where it's like, that's my neighbor, that's Joe's mom, that's a coworker, or that's the business down the hall and I run into this person every time I go in and out of the Macklin building. When you start hearing friends or people close in your network, hearing that, it's on his Facebook page, I can't talk. When you start hearing friends getting it, that is when it starts to make an impact. And Yolanda, we're gonna go to you in a matter of moments here. I'm following this, and I'm getting, it's funny, I'm a libertarian. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a small business owner. I work my ass off. Literally work my ass off. I don't want the government in my life. I'm a libertarian. I don't want the government telling me what to do. And I've been a huge proponent on this program for entrepreneurs and small business owners and the local economy, to the point where some viewers have said, look, we understand you're a proponent of small business owners, but there's a greater good here of humanity. And I totally get that. There's the greater good of mankind and humanity and getting healthy. I get that. But think about it not just from the business standpoint, okay? Think about it from a mental health standpoint. Someone that's struggling with their mental health, being in a house for 4 or 5 weeks and not going out, okay? Think about it from an exercise and health standpoint. Who's watching this program that has put on weight over the last 30 days because they're stuck on their couch, okay? Think about it from other aspects outside of the economy. That's what we're trying to do. We're going to welcome Y.CJones to the program. Judah, I'm going to call Yolanda now to get her on the show. I'm giving you a heads up. Joe Thomas, nothing but the best to you and your mom. We wish you guys health and safety. Thank you for joining us on the show. Judah, I'm going to welcome Yolanda to the program in T-minus 10 seconds. She's an influencer. She's an entrepreneur. She's a small business owner. She's a wife. She's a mother. She's a rock star. And I really, 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 really saw that when we had her husband Will on the show, and Will and I were talking about our wives, and both of us got choked up. And I was like, I got to get Yolanda here because she means so much to this guy, and this guy's a leader in the community. Let me see the better half behind this man, and that's what we're going to do now. Judah, I'm going to go to the phone, and I'm going to welcome Yolanda to the program. You're already getting props, Yolanda. Shankari Goldstein says you're an absolute queen. Hooray. Tim is watching the program and says, welcome, queen, to the show. I'm going to get out of your way. Introduce yourself to the viewing public. You got a lot of people watching now. Who's Yolanda Jones?
Wow. Thanks, everyone. Yolanda Jones is, I don't know, the first thing that comes to mind is heart-centered. I think that informs everything that I do and all of my professional endeavors and also my endeavors that are, just around this house with my family and my husband, who you've mentioned. Very heart-centered, deeply spiritual, humanitarian. That's just kind of how I live, and I'm an artist. And so all of those things fold together into my expressions in the world.
How's the family doing?
Thankfully, everyone is well. I'm grateful for that. We are well embodied. We had a little bit of a scare towards the earlier part of this quarantining process, where I was the one who was symptomatic and had to be away from the family for a couple of weeks.
Wow.
But thankfully, yeah. So I quarantined inside the house, just kind of keeping my distance, and that was an experience. But gratefully, I'm feeling better. Everyone in here is well. My parents are well. My brother and his wife are well. Friends are well. I'm grateful for everyone that I contact and reports that is a relief to the heart.
Good.
So,
How did 2 weeks of self-quarantine go? I mean, because you like people, you like being around your family. How did 2 weeks go, Yolanda? That's almost like my worst nightmare right there.
So I think I was away from the family for like a week, and I was symptomatic. I mean, I was distancing, but I was like in my room for a week. And it went, I was resting. It was an opportunity for me to surrender and acquiesce, sort of the movement of the household to Will, who did an amazing job holding down the fort, cooking a bunch of food. I call him the medicine man because he was bringing me all kinds of
He loves you so much.
To nurture. I love him so much. Grateful for being in this space with him at this time. Yeah, it was wild to just kind of be with fear and to be with courage at the same time, and hearing about what's going on in the world. Everything was very new during the time that I wasn't feeling well, and so it was just a lot. It was a lot, but it was also a good opportunity to be still.
What do you anywhere you want to go? Let's take a broad perspective here. Anywhere you want to go? COVID-19, the world. COVID-19, Charlottesville. What are you seeing? What are you following?
I was reading an article or write-up, an essay in Medium a couple of days ago, and this author was talking about the Great Pause. She was calling it the Great Pause. And so in the world, the things that I'm noticing are many. I'm noticing a lot of the fear. I'm also noticing how the earth is having opportunity to rest, and how, the animals that are usually in hiding have found some reprieve and kind of coming out to show themselves. The ocean is a lot clearer in some spaces. And I'm noticing in Charlottesville, like I've been able to witness many groups coming together on Facebook to provide for each other. Food, comfort, face masks to, some of the medical professionals in the area. People just corralling and coming together on behalf of the community to pivot their businesses, pivot their lives in support of each other. I've been grateful to see that spirit shine through.
Well said. Let me throw this question to you. Toughest question I'm going to throw to you here. You guys are entrepreneurs, small business owners.
Yeah.
His image is the go-to spot if you want a go-to haircut in this community. And I think that is safe to say, okay. I'm going to throw this. This is a tough question. So you are, just like me, we want to see us get on the other side of this. At the same time, when we're on the other side of this, We want to be able to, just like you and me, small businesses, we want to be able to still run what we've invested so much heart and soul and sweat and blood and tears. I mean, I'm so torn on this, Yolanda, and here's why I'm torn. I want everyone to be healthy. I got a kid. I got a wife that I love. I want everyone to be healthy. I got my in-laws from New York staying here because it's safer in Charlottesville than New York. But at the same time, when we get on the other side of this, I don't want all these businesses to be, out of, you know what I'm saying? I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
Totally. Absolutely. I mean, you definitely ask a loaded question. It's also a very emotional one because, like you said, and then it's hard to be a boss, and you have to separate to a degree the emotionality of it. But there's definitely the concern, the fear, the grief, the loss of, okay, what was, pre-COVID, and working so hard now, even in this space, to try and maintain and make sure there's something there to maintain and to research and to think through, put that thought energy into, what is this going to look like, or what could it possibly look like? How different will it be? What will we have lost when the storm passes over? And how can we thrive still after that? Absolutely.
What do you think it's going to look like when it's over? I asked Ray this question. I mean, what is the space in the category of styling going to look like when this is done?
It is interesting because we already have all of these sanitizing measures in place. If you think about it in practical terms, we have to be a very clean space because we're engaging with the public, very close quarters, using, utensils and tools that have to be clean, and we have to be clean. So we have to be clean. Like, that's how we operate. And still, we had to close down because of the nature of this virus and all the things that scientists are finding. So it's really hard to say other than masking. I don't really know because we thought that would be sufficient. But we're learning about colleagues who are, getting sick and in fact dying because they've been wearing masks in this climate and still working. So, it's scary. Like, we don't know. We have no idea what it's going to look like, but we are just trying to hold steady and be hopeful and, read scientific things to try to, keep us grounded in that versus just, emotion and storytelling that could be fanciful. So we don't know.
Let me throw this to you. I had the benefit of meeting your beautiful family. You guys have a army of young people. Give the age range? The age range, is it teens all the way down to like 5, 6?
So our oldest came to join our family in October. She's 16.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then our oldest birth child is 12. She just turned 12. And then 10. And then the twins are 7. So we are at 7. 7 is the youngest.
So here's
now.
The question. The 16-year-old versus the 7-year-old twins. How are they looking at this? I mean, so my neighbor's kid is 5. And my neighbor passed this along to me. His little boy was looking out the window this weekend and said, there were days before today that were much better than today. And Absolutely. Kids have a way of saying poignant things.
Totally. I mean, absolutely. I have really been trying to check in a lot with our children, all of them. I know that our teenager is having the hardest time. Just not, wanting to leave home, not being able to understand really, like, teenagers have this invincibility sort of like I don't understand why everyone's taking this so seriously. So I think over time, though, she's softened that position just a bit, but she's still very frustrated with things where they are. At the same time, she also is engaging a lot with us, which is nice. And the twins, they look outside the window and in fact are seeing the people who, in some areas of the neighborhood aren't keeping with the physical distancing, and they have expressed sadness over not being able to see friends as much and play with and have a play date, and they want to go ride go-karts, and they want to, like, there are all these things that they want to do, and they still at the same time understand, like, this time is different. And when we ask them, what do you notice? The things that they notice most are mom and dad are here a whole lot more, and they like that. And also, they are wanting to go and connect with people. So yeah, they're all feeling it. They're all feeling
Do
it.
you think Charlottesville and locally, do you think it's been handled well? What's the mood you're hearing with your friend group?
Yeah. So I, just as a matter of a measure of self-care, do not delve really deeply on an ongoing basis. I track things daily, and I do it in doses that are digestible for me depending on the
Okay,
day.
I love
Um,
that.
so I, yeah, so I can say that I appreciate the governor's executive orders to the degree that I understand the intent. Um, at the same time, it's being a business that is directly impacted um, by like everything that's happening from the local level to the state level to the national level. We are really feeling it. So it's hard to be experiencing it at the same time. It feels like our social responsibility, even before the governor decided that Virginia was going to be operating in the way that it is. We decided as a household that there's so many of us. We encounter so many different kinds of people in the ways that we work. Like it feels like our responsibility to kind of just hold still for a little bit. Um, so I do align with that idea. Um, there's still a lot of things that are really hard to watch happen with regards to like marginalized populations and um, low income families, food, and again, all of these things are the ills. But I'm also seeing on the other side of it how the communities are coming together. The restaurants are pivoting, away free food, free meals to feed families like hundreds by the hundreds. And that's been encouraging to see and to be a part of. And so, as far as lawmaking or decision making goes, I think people are doing, I'm hoping that they're using their best wisdom. Um,
Well
yeah.
said. Well said. And speaking on that note, on tomorrow's show, Landon Saul is going to join us. He's the owner of Vivace Restaurant. Following suit of what Yolanda just said, Vivace and Landon Saul preparing today 400 meals for the Boys and Girls Club in Central Virginia. He's also doing it for people on the front line at the University of Virginia Hospital. Landon Saul, owner of Vivace and Ivy, on tomorrow's show. Yolanda, I'm going to throw, and we have questions coming in for you. A lot of people giving you props. A lot of people giving you props. I can see you're undoubtedly a leader in this community. How about, I feel like this is something that should be highlighted more, and you are doing it. We take for granted the ability to be able to work from home on a computer, on an internet signal, and still be able to make money and earn a paycheck when so many people in our world don't have the luxury of a home office, an internet signal at home, a computer that they can use to continue to own a paycheck. And I'm going to throw this to you here. I mean, I feel like that's something that should be highlighted more. It's like everyone's like, stay home, work from home, keep people safe, keep people healthy, keep people happy. But what about the folks that don't have that luxury?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's very real. These are the things that I'm pointing to. Even when you think about school at home, there are plenty of kids who cannot easily access devices, internet connection, a stable connection, or a parent figure that can help walk them through that in a way that is not overwhelming. There definitely, it's not a level playing field
Right.
for sure. So, yeah, I don't know. Again, I just am happy to see, and even in my household, like our pivoting, trying to find the work that works best, given that we've had to close our doors, has not been without its challenges. And then being, such a full house, it's hard to keep that space protected. And so that's when, that practices that I have to kind of keep myself grounded through all of this come into play, things that I teach to do, to master myself, keep me focused when there's so many questions and so many things that are wrong.
Well said.
in the society, in the house. Yeah.
Your husband, Will, he says, "That's my baby," in the Martin Lawrence voice. He just put that on the feed. Love you, Y.Jones. All right, let me throw this to you.
I don't even know where
Is he in the house right now?
He's somewhere in the He's in the house, but I have no idea what part of the
I would
house
love to
he's in,
see
which is
Will
funny.
Jones somehow on the scene. All right, let me get this out to you, Yolanda. Some questions coming in for you here, and we've covered this already. People are asking what styling and cutting hair is going to look like on the other side of this. Why don't I do a follow-up question on this? Do you think it is the stylist and or the barber going to the consumer? I asked Ray this question, and Ray said, no, Jerry. He goes, his image is like the cleanest shop around. I have much more control in a shop where I can take care of the, controlling everything as opposed to going to someone's garage or house or something like that. Throw that to you.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree with Ray in that, you have much more control over the variables when the people are coming to you. You know, going into another person's home space.
I saw you, Will. What up, dog? Cleanly shaven, Will. Looking good, homie.
What's up, bro? What's up, man?
We're talking life, dude.
I'm letting her finish.
What's that?
Say it again.
We're just talking about what it's going to look like on the other side.
Oh, yeah. Let me let her finish because I wanted to hear what she was saying.
I mean, I was basically reiterating what Ray said, and we love Ray. Hey, Ray, if you're watching. The shop space is definitely a more controlled environment, and so it'll be, just even more attention to the sanitation practices that we already have in place, and perhaps it'll be masking. I know that I'll probably try to find a mask that has some way to see, like, visibly protect the face, but also see the mouth, so that there is this level of humanness and engagement that people come to us to get. Like, that's what they're coming there for. They want to see a smiling face. They want to. It's
their therapy.
They want to exchange energy. Yeah. So I imagine that it's going to look something like that. Probably a little bit of a screening process before people come in. I don't know what that may look like, but we already had those things in place. If you are symptomatic in any way, if you've traveled, or if, just people being mindful of themselves. Because there's so many of us in the space, I think that it, as an owner, there's a little bit of anxiety around managing so many different pathways once people come in the door. So there's a little bit of that, but I imagine it'll look something like masks and the same practices that we had before.
This comment for both of you. This is from Shankari. You guys are life coaches. You're not hairstylists. You guys are friends. You guys are therapists. Giving you props. Here's the hardest question I'm going to ask you, and it involves that handsome devil behind you here. What did you think when Will Jones cut that beard off?
So when
you look good, Will.
Downstairs,
thank you.
Yeah, when he came downstairs, I didn't recognize him at first. Like, there was this brief moment of like, who's in my house, and that kind of fight, flight, or freeze response that was there for a few moments. But then I obviously recognized that it was him. My brain registered that it was him, and I just laughed and was taking him in. I've seen Will before with his face, his hair down low on his face, but I've never seen his face bare, not in person, since we've been together. And so I definitely, as Will and I, our relationship is based on bearing witness to each other's journeys, and that's his body and his journey that he's making, and I'm bearing witness to it, and I have been able to see how that has been symbolic of a lot of things for him. When I cut hair, for instance, just to go back to that, I don't call my haircuts. They're called releases.
Nice.
So most of the folks who come and sit with me for a release, it's a very involved experience in that there is that conversation around what are we letting go of and what are we making room for when we release this hair from your head. And so I've seen Will move through that process, and it's been interesting to witness. And I think he's making his journey.
It looks good, dude. All right, why don't we close on this? Final word. Anywhere you guys want to go? Anywhere you got the community watching here. You got a lot of your team members watching here. You got team members, fathers watching this program here. Charlottesville's watching. Final word. You can go encouragement. You can go strategy. You can go anywhere you want to go, Yolanda and Will, on this.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would just say, obviously let Will say something as well. I just, I want to encourage people to focus on taking care of themselves, giving themselves a break, have a stressful time, and just giving whatever version of themselves that they were before this, giving that version a big hug in their imagination for themselves, and a big kiss on the cheek, and releasing it, and then being present here and now and showing up for whatever now is asking of you. And if it's rest, then rest. If it's work, then work. But be patient with yourself and with each other through this process that we're moving
Beautiful.
through.
Beautiful. What do you think? What do you think, Will?
Yeah. Man, I think there's a lot of negative that we could definitely be focusing on right now. But also, I think this is a really good time for us to take advantage of this sit still, really focus on ourselves. I really feel like if you aren't working on yourself in this season, then you really aren't paying attention. And so I think it's really a good time, because when have we had to sit still for more than 7 days and just be with one person, or be just by ourselves, or just be with our family? Like, we escape to so much stuff on a regular basis in our regular lives, that this is really making us sit still and really think about who we really are, and what we really made of. And, I think that if we really give some real attention to that, it's going to be for our benefit. Like, it's no way that we aren't healthier because of this, if we really put in the time and we really put in the energy to, like, looking at our bare self, like cutting our beards off. That was just the extreme that I had to go. But that's what I think we all should be doing, is like really bearing witness to who we really are, and like taking all these masks off. Like, we should all be able to see now that we all got it tough. And, if life doesn't go on as normal, it's going to be tough for all of us together. And so I think it's really time to focus on like what we can do for ourselves to make ourselves better in any situation, mastering ourselves.
Perfect. God, that was so good. You guys are rock stars. Rock stars. Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Jerry.
Thank you.
I'm so grateful. Can we reach out to you guys again? Okay, I'm going to do it. I wish you the best. Thank you, Yolanda. Thank you, Will. Good to see you guys. Stay safe. Thank you. Great people on this program. I love the Jones family, and they're getting a ton of props here. You guys rock. You guys rock. Thank you, Yolanda and Will. Judah, I'd like to get Joe Thomas's picture up one more time on the show, if you could. Joe Thomas, if you just tuning into the program, Joe Thomas was a one-time boss of mine. As I started my career in broadcasting, he was one of my first boss. He's in New Jersey right now. His mom, 90-year-old mom, has COVID-19. Okay, you got that photo, Judah? It's on screen. I'm a little choked up on this. I'll tell you what, I've gotten more soft, if you may, since I watched my little boy come out of my wife. Since my little boy got alive. I've gotten more emotional, more soft. And there you see Joe on screen, and his mom hasn't. I think, as Joe said on this show, as we continue to progress in this world, it's not going to be who has it, it's going to be who doesn't have it. And I'm watching a couple of things closely. First, I'm watching the community rallying together, the community coming together. And I hope on the other side of this, it comes together like it's never come together before. I'm also watching President Jim Ryan in the University of Virginia, because they undoubtedly have tremendous influence and impact over this community. UVA does, as we all know. And I'm watching closely to see if President Ryan and his staff and the board of directors, where they are with students returning to grounds into Charlottesville in August. That's a big, big, big milestone for our community. Whether or not 20,000 plus students take a city from 49,000, 50,000 in population to over 70,000. Whether an additional roughly 40% of the population comes here in August. Because the impact of having the students on grounds is exponential, man. It's what makes Charlottesville different than Danville or Martinsville, having the students here on grounds. On tomorrow's show, we are going to welcome Landon Saul, the owner of Vivace Restaurant. He is allocating his most precious commodity, his time, to feeding people who need help. The Boys and Girls Club of Central Virginia, Landon Saul and Vivace Restaurant, delivered 400 meals to them. He just sent me a text as I was lining up this interview that he did the UVA COVID clinic. Landon Saul of Vivace Restaurant is taking food to the UVA COVID clinic. Community coming together for the betterment of community. Landon Saul tomorrow at 1. Ahmad Hawkins, the ball hawk, on the I Love CVille show at 12:35 tomorrow. All we're trying to do is have real life conversations on a platform that reaches a lot of people and allow you to take bits and pieces from it and apply it to your life. I think something that should be emphasized a lot more than it's being emphasized is the prioritization, and Yolonda Jones did this extremely well, the prioritization of mental health. You know, and I need to do a better job of this. I get so stuck up and so caught up in being a small business owner and having team members relying on me and allocating literally 12 years of my life on May 31st to this company. And I get so caught up in thinking about my colleagues that are also small business owners and them trying to keep their ship heading in the right direction. Just trying to keep the ship on the water as opposed to the ship sinking like the Titanic. So many small businesses are. I get so wrapped up in this mindset that I often forget to prioritize mental health on the program. And my wonderful wife helped remind me of that today. Emphasize and demystify and prioritize the need to keep what's happening here healthy and positive, because what's happening here impacts everything else. So we'll try to do that on the program. Thank you guys for joining us. I love connecting with you on this platform. I really do. I really do. Tomorrow, Ahmad Hawkins, the ball hawk. Tomorrow, Landon Saul, owner of Vivace Restaurant. It's the I Love CVille show, and I'm Jerry Miller. Enjoy your afternoon.